Alright guys, Bob here for basically a shop tip today. You know, at the lake I'm putting a snack bar in and the counter is going to hang off. Well, with the new stone type products, they have to have a reinforcing bars that stick out to support any overhangs. So I ordered these steel bars specifically for that purpose. The problem is they have thickness, so they have to be recessed into the top of the wood of your counter so that everything sits flush. So what I'm making today out of this block of plywood is a jig to run my router in when I put the 1/2-inch bit in it, set to a certain depth. In this case it happens to be 5/16. And to make a square that's going to be 2.5 inches wide and 4 inches deep for that baby to drop into just like that. So the problem is I don't have a collar for my router, so I'm going to have to use the side of the router as the guide, which means the slot's going to have to be quite as big. Now if you notice, this is exactly 6 inches, so what I'm going to do is this is a 1/2 inch. I've got to make the groove 8 inches wide, so when that goes in and moves over 2 inches, we have our 2.5 inch groove. I believe that's how it'll work. I might have to make this 8.5 inches. I have to think about this a minute. But anyway, when I figure it out, I'll tell you. And then the depth is the same thing. The depth doesn't have to be as important because that just depends on how far off the edge of the cabinet there I put the jig. All right. Yes, so my first thought and calculation was correct. The groove has to be 8 inches wide because the router base is 6. It's only going to move the router 2 inches left or right if I cut out this square. And the reason that a 2-inch groove will make 2.5 inches because when I plunge this in, it's already made a 1/2 inch wide groove. And when I move it over, it's made 2 more. So it will be 2.5 from that. So I've made this cut out here 10 inches deep. So if I put that even with the edge of the counter, the router will come in here. Oh, half the width though. I have to think about half the width going this way. So yes, it's 3 inches, so it only needs to be 7 inches deep. Alright, so there's my correction. This is going to be 7 inches deep. We'll get it cut out. So the plan is, now this isn't going to cut a square hole in the back. We'll have to chisel that out, or I can make it a little deeper. The plan is to try this first. This is the part that goes in there, and let's screw it down to a piece of scrap plywood and see what happens. Setting the depth is the next important factor. What I'm going to do for that, I'm just going to tighten my bit down in here. Be careful, they're sharp. Don't touch it with your hand like I just did, which was stupid. Tap that down, not all the way to the curve of the shank, and then tighten it up with your double wrenches. Okay, so I've got my jig screwed down to the test wood. The test wood is screwed to the bench. The bit's not going to go all the way back here. It's only going to go 4 inches deep. So I'm going to run this. I don't have any way of holding the camera. I'm going to run it and then we'll take a look at it. So there you go. Perfect success. Now these braces go with the W up. You can see the chamfers for the screws. And it fits right in there perfectly. Again, to support the overhang of the countertop, which is a composite stone type material. Yeah, I'm going to have to chisel the back corners a little more square, but that's perfect. What I'll do on the top of the cabinet that's there, it's only a 3/4 inch top, so you can see there's only not even a 1/2 inch left. So what I'm going to do is put strips of plywood underneath up into the top of the cabinet, which is behind the face frame, so you'll never see it. So there's just a quick jig. I'll put that new bit in there, readjust. How I adjusted that is all I did is I put the bit in the router and I laid this piece of steel on top of the router like so. And I laid this behind it and I sighted across the bit. And I adjusted the router to meet it. So that's all I had to do. All right, guys, that's it for our little tutorial today. We're off to the lake to get our countertops measured, and then we'll be back in the shop. I got more cabinet building videos coming up. I know you're probably getting sick of it. All right, God bless, take care. We'll see you around the corner.